Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond Your Knowledge. So today we are going to be talking about the true and false diverticula. And before we continue, I would like to share with you Psalm 136, 1 to 3, and says that give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to God of God, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of Lords, for his steadfast love endures forever. So we need to be thankful to our Lord because through his love, he is being good. Well, so now we can continue with the true and false diverticula. So when we say something about true and false, so basically we need to see what is making this true and what is making this false. So I will show you this picture here of the diverticulas. And before we continue with this picture, I would like to show you. So the diverticula, it is like a pocket. So as we can see right here, okay, it is like a pocket. Now the GI system from esophagus until your anus has different layers, okay. Now those layers from inside to outside, okay. If you have your lumen, okay, and then from inside to outside, you are going to have your mucosa, which is going to be more deep, okay. So it's going to be your mucosa, as I'm drawing there, you can see here as well. Then you're going to have another one, which is the submucosa. So we have another one here. So submucosa, I mean the submucosa. Well, this is just an example. Then yeah, I mean doesn't overcome to this one. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, mucosa, submucosa. Then we have the muscularis propria. So we're going to draw this just like this one, muscularis propria. So and then and then we have one more, which is going to be basically the serosa, okay. So the serosa basically could be this one that is already here, okay. So those four, just to recap. So from inside to outside, you have your mucosa, then you have your submucosa, then you have the muscularis, okay. So which is this one, and then I'm going to draw this line curve like this wavy line that we can identify how it is here, the muscularis. And then the last one but not least, which is going to be the serosa, okay. Now basically is that. Well, now in the diverticula, which is like a pocket, so all those layers are going to be affected, or not necessarily all of those. So we can have two kind of diverticula: the true diverticula, which involves the four layers that I mentioned here, the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa, okay. So which is this picture that we are seeing here, okay. So this picture that you are seeing there, so an example is called Meckel's diverticulum, okay. Meckel's diverticulum. Then this other example that is here, this one, which is the pseudo diverticulum, and another word for pseudo is false, okay. Pseudo is equal to false. So this one is going to be a pseudo diverticulum, and this one we can mention one and put a name on it, and this is called Zenker's diverticulum. But you say, okay, thank you, I appreciate it, I that sounds good, Zenker. But the location, So where we can find Zenker diverticulum? So it's called Zenker's esophageal diverticulosis. Esophageal. I'm sorry, this is diverticulosis. Okay. Now I think with that in mind, so I think that we can, this is basically the big picture, how to differentiate the true versus the false. And I would like to just give a little bit more details how this happened, and so how each of those is going to differentiate. Okay, so let's just open a new slide here, and we're going to talk about since embryogenesis. So what happened in embryogenesis? Okay, so during the process of embryogenesis, I will do this in blue better, that we can continue with our pattern. So during embryogenesis, remember that embryogenesis we divided into the first trimester, organogenesis, which is the most important, then second semester well, it's more development, but in the first trimester is very critical that we be careful with the drugs or with the conditions or diseases that the patient can get, because it is very sensitive that the fetus develop malformations or develop different conditions, so in the first trimester. But let's just, this is another lecture or class, but let's just, that was an idea. Now let's just talk about what's happening during embryogenesis. So basically the lumen, as I was mentioning before, the lumen, which is something like this and have all the layers that we sorry, I just wanted to copy the picture, but yeah, so this lumen that you can see there, and yeah, so the lumen of the midgut. So remember that we have the foregut, the midgut, and the hindgut. The midgut is the mid for middle one. So this lumen from the midgut and the yolk sac cavity and are connected via the omphalomesenteric vitelline duct. So what does that mean? Well, it is important that we can see that. So basically a vitelline duct, it is like a duct, so basically just something like this. Okay, so all this lumen that is here in the mid duct and the yolk sac, they are connected via the omphalomesenteric. Okay, so we can probably do better. Yeah, whoops, sorry. Okay, the yolk sac. There we go. Now, so they are connected via this omphalomesenteric, which is called the vitelline duct, this one that is here. Okay, now this duct, so what happened normally is going to obliterate during the 7th week of the fetal life. Okay, so but the problem in this process of embryogenesis to develop any diverticula is that there is going to be a partial failure of this duct to obliterate, and then is going to have the formation of the Meckel's diverticulum. Let me explain better. So these things, basically the yolk sac approximately in the 7th week should disappear. Okay, but the problem is that doesn't. So should disappear but doesn't disappear, and then there is going to be just a partial obliteration. And because there is a partial obliteration of this yolk sac with the, of the vitelline duct, which is the one that connects the lumen with the yolk sac, so doesn't obliterate totally. So what it's going to do is going to obliterate just the half. So it's going to obliterate just the half, and then because it obliterate just the half, now you can get a diverticulum, and this diverticulum we can put a name, and this is called the Meckel's diverticulum. Okay, so basically this is how is happen in embryogenesis. But Meckel's diverticulum is going to have some symptoms that the patients can present, or also or symptoms or signs. So let's just mention here, I'm going to do this corner here, so I'm going to talk about some symptoms that the patient can have. So the patient has have a rectal bleeding, okay. So a patient can have a rectal bleeding. Now imagine a baby or a newborn with a Meckel's diverticulum and present with rectal bleeding, or the baby can present as well with intestinal obstruction. Okay, so there are other differential diagnosis for intestinal obstruction in the newborn, but we need to evaluate. But now we're going to focus in Meckel's diverticulum. Now that could happen, but there is some good news that mostly are asymptomatic. Okay, which is good, but we are going to see more pathophysiology of this condition. Okay, so almost mostly are asymptomatic, most of the cases. And now how we can remember those before Meckel diverticulum. So also we can detect it with the TC99 scan. This is one of those that we use it to detect it, and but there is a rule, or it is a rule. It is a rule that it is for Meckel diverticulums, and they say the rules of twos. The rules of twos basically is as follows. So we mentioned one of those. Do you remember that I mentioned that usually it is asymptomatic? Well, yeah, but this one doesn't goes there because it's going to be, for example, more than that. So 2% of symptomatic, 2% of the population. Okay, but let's just start with the most official one, 2% of population. 2% of that is going to be 2 feet from the ileocecal valve. The ileocecal valve, I'm going to show you a picture here. Ileocecal valve, basically it is right here. Yeah, so this is your Meckel diverticulum, as we can see, and the ilia is here in this area, as you can see is there. This is the Meckel diverticulum, and then we can see on the other side how Meckel diverticulum, do you see the pocket how it's coming out? So basically, and this is is going to be 2 feet from the ileocecal valve, Meckel diverticulum. Also in the Meckel diverticulum, so we can see another picture here, and in this picture, right there. Yeah, so in this one we can see it here, the ileocecal valve. So which is the ileocecal valve is the valve that is between your cecum, that the cecum is this one here. Also then come your ascending column, then you come your transversus column, then you come your descending column, and the rectum, and all those, sigmoid column, and the rectum, and then the anus. But the ileocecal valve is basically the communication with the cecum and the last portion of your small intestine, which is the ileum. Okay, keep in mind that the ileum it is affected in the patient that has a Meckel's diverticulum. Well, let's just continue. That was the 2% of the ileocecal valve. Now the other 2%, it is the other 2% is that 2% of, should be blue, yeah, there we go, blue, which it is symptomatic. Okay, so and I mentioned here before that mostly were asymptomatic, so 98% asymptomatic and 2% symptomatic. And we continue with the rules of two. Also have 2 inches in length. Okay, so how long is going to be the Meckel diverticulum? So 2 inches in length, and I can show you again the picture. So this one that is here, You see? So basically it was an ileum secundaire from there, but from here to here, from here to here, it has 2 inches of length. Okay, so this is the Meckel's diverticulum. You say, oh, but wow, this is so many, this is a lot of 2 and 2, but we still have one more, and this one, it is about the sex. Basically, and the males are 2 times more likely to be affected. So that's mean that if you have, and then the two times, this one is no percent, it's just 2 times male, and remember the symbol for male, and more, no, this is the girl, sorry, yeah, this is the symbol for girls, oops, sorry, there you go. Yeah, so 2 times male affected than females. Okay. Okay, so we make it up in this corner here. I think that works. Yeah, it's okay. Now, all those things is for your Meckel's diverticulum. Meckel's diverticulum. What about the other side, the false diverticula? Before I go to the false diverticula, I'm going to review one more time. So the layers affected in Meckel's diverticulum are all the layers: your mucosa, your submucosa, your muscularis propria, your serosa, all those 4 layers in the Meckel's diverticulum. Now we're going to enter into the pseudo or false diverticulum, which one of those is the Senker's esophageal diverticulosis, and in this one is going to be affected just the mucosa and the submucosa. Let's just move on and go there. So let's open a new slide here. This is for the false or the pseudo. Okay, pseudo diverticulum. So basically affected. So what are the layers affected? So mucosa, submucosa. Also, I mentioned that, yeah, so while the other one, Meckel's, contains those 3 layers: mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis. But since Meckel's is the one that involves 3, I would like to mention one more detail about Meckel's, and it is that who have that we call ectopic mucosa. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here, or let me see if we have it in the previous slide. I'm going to write it here in this corner that everything be in the same. So also Meckel's diverticulum has ectopic. Ectopic means that it is tissue from another organ in a different location. Now this diverticulum, the Meckel's one, has an ectopic mucosa, okay, gastric epithelium. Now gastric, we already know that come from your gastric area, which is your stomach. Imagine our stomach is ready for all the acid, but our ileum or small intestine, which is here, all this is not ready for that. Now imagine that you have this ectopic tissue, mucosa, gastric mucosa, in your small intestine, exactly in your ileum. That can cause problems in the patients. What kind of problems the patient can have? So the patient can have ulcerations, okay, but also because the patient can have ulcerations, come a consequence is going to have bleeding. Okay, now bleeding of the lower GI could be melena or hematochezia. Okay, so lower GI bleeding, melena or hematochezia. But this gastric tissue, which is going to secrete your gastric acid, as we yeah, this is not the only one. If the patient doesn't have that one, also could have another which is the pancreatic tissue is the second most common. So the other could be the pancreatic. Okay, so pancreatic tissue, instead of being in the pancreas, now it is in your ileum. Okay, so this is the second most common. So basically, I think that we learned some here about False diverticulum, and I just would like to mention, come back again to the false and pseudo diverticula. So remember that those layers go through just mucosa and submucosa, and the name, so which is the Zenker, but this one is the Zenker, which is in the esophagus, but mostly it is in the upper esophagus, and I think that this is very important that we should remember. Okay, and those are examples of false or Pulsion's diverticula. And well, so I hope that you learned something, and remember that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And thank you so much. God bless.